Hi, Garden Dad here. Welcome back. I've got a bonus session for you. Today I'm going to go out and tap my maple trees. I've been making my own maple syrup for 5 or 6 years, and maybe 15 or 20 years ago I gave it a shot, and then I ran out of time because I got busy at work. But I've started again, and I've come up with a relatively easy way to make maple syrup. I don't use hydrometers or evaporators or all that kind of stuff. I got 3 sugar maples on my property. I drill a couple of holes, I put the taps in, I get some food grade tubing, puts it into these 5-gallon buckets, and I boil it down on a propane stove that I have out in my garage. Not necessarily sure I save any money. It's something I do in the spring because gardening season's at a lull. The ratio of sap, maple sap to syrup is 40-1. So if I got 40 gallons of sap and I boiled it all down to something a lot thicker, I'd end up with 1 gallon of syrup. I'm not going to do that much. I'll probably do 20 gallons of sap, end up with a half a gallon of syrup, a couple of quarts, and I stick it in my refrigerator, and I stick it in my oatmeal. I have it in my oatmeal all year long. So today, I'm going to head out and tap the trees. It's been getting warmer, and I'm sure the sap is running. I wanted to show you the equipment that I use here in my basement. It'll be a lot easier to record it and show you down here than it will be outside. The first thing I want to share with you is I bought food grade 5-gallon buckets. Food grade, heavy duty, BPA free. I got them at Lowe's. I'll try to have a link for them in the description below so you can get similar stuff. I also have some tubing. I have this tubing in pairs because I will put 2 taps in each tree, and each pair of taps will feed into 1 5-gallon bucket. And I'll show you how I do that. And I'll give you a link to that. Then I have some taps. I'll give you a link to that, but here's kind of what the tap looks like. And you may not have noticed it, but the tap fits into the tubing. I drill a hole, and I'll show you. It's pretty simple. I figure out how big the hole's got to be, but I drill a hole, stick this tap into the tree, and then I bought 6 covers. 3 covers, I drilled 2 holes in. And the plastic tubing will feed into each respective hole. So it kind of comes from the tree down into the bucket. When the bucket's full, I'm gonna pop the top off that's got the tubing in it, and I'm gonna put a top on that doesn't have any holes in it. I'm gonna take that bucket away, and I'm gonna put a different bucket underneath. So I always have 3 buckets at the trees and 3 buckets with sap in them at my evaporation station on my propane tank. Kind of a simple operation, not a big investment. Again, I don't think you're going to save money on maple syrup. You might, but I don't think so. But it's fun and it's good and it's a nice hobby at this time of year. So just as a little review, I have a bucket with a top with 2 holes in it. The taps come out, and I'm going to drill holes in the tree, and I'm going to put the taps in the tree. And then the sap starts flowing. I check them every couple of days. When they're full, I swap out the buckets. It's that simple. As soon as I have maybe 10 gallons of sap collected, I'll start to boil it off. Because it's still cold in wintertime, when I'm done boiling for the day, I'll cover the buckets up and leave them in my garage. It's cold, it's refrigerated, so I don't have to worry about anything going bad. I just start boiling it until it gets to the point where it's ready to be finished off. And I'll talk about more of the finishing process later, but I actually do the finishing inside the house. I've got a propane tank, a propane stove to boil the sap. We used to try to boil it in our house, and oh my God, the evaporation and the steam in the house, and smelled like sugar, and it was on the walls. And don't try to boil your sap in the house. You could finish it off in the house, so when it gets down to the last, half gallon or so, you can boil it down to whatever thickness you want. They say you get it to 219 degrees and it's ready. People have hydrometers to check out when it's ready. I just look at it, and when it's thick enough for me, it's done. I don't put a lot of science into it. I try to keep it simple. I like my syrup a little lighter anyways. And sometimes if you go too long, it ends up becoming candy and crystallized, and I don't like that, and it's not my thing. So I'm getting ready to go out and drill holes in my maple trees, and I'll film that. But how big a hole do I need, right? So I've got a drill bit that I've used in the past, and I've got it marked with how deep I want to go. But how did I figure that out? I'm not good at 5/16, 7/32, 1/4 inch, all these different drill bit sizes. I took my tap and I put the end in my drill bit case. It's got these little holes where the bits go, right? You pull out a bit, there's a little hole, and I got it so there's kind of a snug fit, but it didn't go all the way down. Okay? And because when I drill a hole, I'm always wobbling all around, the hole I drill is bigger than the bit I use. I wanted to make sure it's a snug fit, but I don't want it too big. But it can't be really, you don't really want it too small either. So I just kind of figured out what size bit I needed by sticking my tap in the hole of one of these drill bit storage places, and that's the bit I use. The reality of it is that's a 5/16 drill bit. Now I might take some smaller drill bits to drill a pilot hole because my bits aren't all that sharp. I buy cheap Harbor Freight bits and they wear out quickly. So you might see me wrestling to try to get the hole drilled in the tree. So I may start with a smaller bit, but generally the primary size I want is 5/16 for those particular taps. Okay, so I'm back outside. I've got 3 buckets staged in front of my maple trees. You could see that they're pretty big maple trees. Okay, I only put 2 taps in each one of these. They're big enough that they could probably handle 3 or 4 taps. I think what you'll read on the internet is the tree needs to be at least 12 inches in diameter for 1 tap. If you got 18 inches in diameter, you could put in 2 taps. Okay, so I'm going to find a couple of spots to drill. I'm probably going to put one over here and maybe one over here. A couple feet away. You can see there was a hole over there in the past, and I don't know, there were some holes around, but that's where I'm going to drill. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I got a couple of holes drilled in this first tree. I'm just going to stick the tap in. I've got one over here, and actually sap's coming out. I can see the sap coming out already. It's great. Sap's running. That's it. That's how you tap a maple tree. So I'll probably be collecting sap for a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, and I'll start to be boiling it off. As I start to boil it off, I'll do another video on how I set that up, the pans I use, and even to the point where I have some filters and things like that that I use to filter out the sediment from the syrup. That's it for now. Don't forget, smile at everybody, be kind to everybody, and have a great day every day.